And joining us to bring us up to date on what has taken place today is Jeff Weiner, Orlando Sentinel Court Reporter, and he was there today. And Jeff, thank you for being with us, sir. We really appreciate it.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Okay, so as I understand it, the first order of business was Mark O'Mara asking for another delay, or should I say again asking for a delay for the start of the trial, saying the defense was not prepared and blaming the prosecution, and the judge denied it, right?
Yep, it was the third time at least that the judge has denied him that request that he's been making repeatedly to delay the trial. He basically just says that the state has been slow in turning over evidence, that they just turned over yet another dump of documents from Trayvon Martin's cell phone, and that he's not ready. But the state argues that they had the raw data from the cell phone and should have been able to get whatever was on there out themselves the same way the state did. And the judge has been adamant that, she's going to make the attorneys stick to the date that they agreed to originally, which was today.
Is this unusual, and is this something that could be used down the road in an appeal?
Well, everything about this case, because of its profile, is unusual. Most cases that I cover, when an attorney asks for a continuance and there seems to be a reasonable basis for it, judges tend to lean in that direction. And yes, from talking to local attorneys, there is a feeling that part of the reason why Mark O'Mara keeps making these requests, even though he doesn't think that he's going to get the continuances, is just so that if there is a conviction in the case, it's something that can be brought up with the appellate court. He can say, we asked, so many times to have this case delayed, and the judge forced it through and it wasn't ready.
Okay, now let's talk about what else was going on there today, and that was, I guess it centered around jury selection, correct?
That's right. Today was the first day officially of the trials, and it started with jury selection. The morning was somewhat slow. Basically, they brought in roughly 100 potential jurors, and they had all of them fill out a questionnaire, a very detailed questionnaire about what they know about the case, whether they formulated fixed opinions, topics along those lines. We don't know exactly what was asked because the questionnaire hasn't been made public yet. And then based on those questionnaires, they started this afternoon calling in individual jurors to question them about what they know about the case. The four people who have spoken so far in court all said that they knew at least something about the case. They had varying degrees of information, and most of them said they don't often listen to the news and don't know a whole lot about it. But all four said that they believed they could be fair to George Zimmerman and could give him an impartial trial and make a decision based on the evidence presented at trial.
And we're talking about 6 jurors here, not 12, correct?
That's correct. In Florida, 12 jurors is only a requirement for a capital case. Because this is a second-degree murder charge, which is only a life felony, they only need 6 jurors. However, they're going to select 4 alternates, 4 people who will not know that they're not jurors on the case. They will be treated the same as the rest throughout the trial, but then after closing arguments, assuming that no one has had to be removed from the jury, they'll be sent home.
Oh, so they sit in the box with the whole thing and not knowing who the 4 are.
Exactly.
Oh.
They ideally they won't even know that there are alternates among them. The concept being that if someone knew he was an alternate or might be an alternate,
right,
he or she might act.
Right. No one will know, but they got to know there's 4 extra jurors in the box, right? So they'll know 4 of them won't be there. No?
Well, if they've been following the news coverage, then it's been widely reported that there are going to be 6 regular jurors and 4 alternates. So it's presumable that they might know that. I think that
I'd hate to think they're that uninformed. I mean, if I know it, I hope they know it.
You say that, but there was one of the 4 who's been questioned so far said that she was completely unaware that the trial was happening until she was on her way to the courthouse and saw a sign warning about extra traffic. She said that she just figured that there was a big trial and doesn't really know much, if anything, about this case. And that may be who they wind up with, because there are a lot of people in this area who've come to pretty fixed opinions about this case, one way or the other.
Which leads me to my next question. What's the latest on has there been a recent request, or has there been a request at all? I had Mark O'Mara on a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think he had asked for a change of venue. Is that something he might still do, or no?
No, we're past that stage now, and he's never even really strongly suggested that he was thinking about change of venue, and part of that may be demographics. Seminole County, where the case, where the shooting happened, and where the case is being taken to trial, is a conservative county. It's one that's considered to be in favor of gun owners' rights, in favor of the stand your ground law, and therefore it's one that most legal observers think is a favorable place for the defense to try the case, which would explain why, it's at least one possible explanation for why Mark O'Mara would choose to keep it here. And ultimately, a change of venue is a strategic decision. That's one of the things that's factored in whenever an attorney makes that decision.
What about the sound? And we're talking to Jeff Weiner, Orlando Sentinel Court Reporter here on the Steve Malzberg Show. I want to play you some sound that has come to light, and we have that, I believe, Will. It's for those watching at Newsmax.com, you could see it. It's from the cell phone, I believe, of Trayvon Martin, and they don't know who took the video. It's a guy beating up another guy trying to take his bike, or a fight over a bike, and the voice on it is believed to be that of Trayvon Martin. Let's play it, and then we'll talk about why it's relevant and where we are with the cries for help, and if that'll be admitted into evidence. Here's the soundbite.
Oh! They bumped me. You got a bottom. You gonna beat him. Ooh. Oh.
Now, there's not much there. And again, Martin, I believe, is not on that video, they don't know who took the video, but it was on his cell phone, if I'm correct. And the value of that could be to get Trayvon Martin's voice, because we don't have that. So when it comes to who was shouting for help, we don't have Trayvon Martin's voice for a sound expert to decipher, correct?
Yes, basically the importance of that video, and we understand that there may be other samples that could potentially have his voice that were on his phone. That's just the one that's been made public so far. Are basically the first time that we've ever heard his voice, and it's a crucial issue in this case that the judge still hasn't decided. There were 3 days of hearings starting Thursday and running through Saturday on a pair of state experts who say that they've been able to determine either one says that he ruled out Zimmerman's voice because he didn't have a sample of Trayvon to compare, but that he compared Zimmerman's voice to the screams that are heard on the 911 call right before the fatal gunshot. The other says that I guess the state provided him a sample and that he was able to compare both, and that he believes that it was Trayvon Martin screaming. Obviously, George Zimmerman has said from the very beginning that he was the one screaming, and the defense called several experts who said that the type of analysis the state is trying to rely on just isn't possible with the quality of the audio that they have in this case. But the question of who's screaming is a major one in this case, because the bottom line is, and the state has admitted this, that nobody saw the first punch or whatever the first physical contact was between the two of these two people, and one of them is now dead, and the other one, George Zimmerman, is on trial, and the state presumably is going to need to support its theory that it was Zimmerman who started the conflict with evidence of this kind. And we're still waiting to hear from the judge. There's still one more defense expert who has to testify on the reliability of this type of testimony, and then the judge is going to rule on whether or not the state experts will get into the trial.
Jeff, thank you so much. I hope you'll come back when you can, because this is going to rivet the nation, and certainly our viewers at Newsmax.com, our listeners at WCFO in Atlanta and on XM Radio 244 would certainly love to be kept abreast. So